Hello, can you hear me? Am I audible?
Yeah, you are audible. You can start sharing your screen. You are a presenter now.
Yes.
Welcome, Parul madam. Welcome.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Yeah, it's visible now.
Yes, thank you.
Can you please change the slide?
Yes, is it moving
Yes.
forward
Yeah,
and
yeah,
It is
backward?
moving.
yeah. You can start, man.
Okay, shall I start?
Just a minute. Moita madam will introduce and then you start. Please, Moita madam.
Good afternoon all. I welcome you in the second session of the FDP Signal Image and Video Processing, a Practical Approach 2020. I welcome our today's guest, Dr. Parul Jadhav ma'am, as a speaker for this session to give a presentation on video processing and video analytics. A short introduction about ma'am. Dr. Parul Jadhav is Associate Professor in Electronics and Telecommunication Department of MIT WPU with 27 plus years of experience in teaching, learning, research and administration across the diverse domain and the technologies. She has led successfully different portfolios such as Associate Professor, NBA Coordinator, Lab Development Leader, Faculty Advisor, etc. She is an alumnus of COEP, securing her bachelor's, master's and doctoral degree with a good record. Her publications include over 20 papers in national and international journals. She is actively engaged in the research of video and image analytics, comparison techniques and deep learning. Recently, she has received grant of rupees 29 lakh for agriculture real prediction deploying these advanced technologies. She has been one of a pioneering member of ECE department and been involved in establishing the same development of the laboratories, syllabus finalization, leading and guiding multiple seminars and project organizing seminars and conferences, chairperson of various subjects at a university level, establishing the process and the methods for smooth functioning of department, etc. She has been teaching a state-of-art computational intensive subjects such as advanced signal processing, embedded system, deep learning, etc. She has been recognized multiple times, including prestigious MIT Foundation Day Award. Her interest lies in the field of signal processing, video analytics, and deep learning. So I request Parul ma'am to start her session. Ma'am, please.
Okay, am I visible?
No, your cam is not. Your screen is visible, but your camera is not.
Yes. Camera is not. Yes.
Can you make it from your end?
Your camera. You have to start. We have mic, then camera, then screen share contents.
Yes,
Stick to my video.
I am on that, but I am not able to see the same.
There might be some problem related to your camera driver. Screen is visible, but cam is not visible. It's
Let
not
me.
possible from our end.
Okay, I will try. Is it visible now?
No, not yet. Yeah,
Okay.
camera is available. Please
Okay.
start your presentation.
Yes. Thank you, Amruta Madam, for my introduction. Uh, so before starting my session, I take this opportunity to thank Department of ECE, who is running behind the scenes for organizing this wonderful signal, image, and video processing. A practical approach. I would like to thank Karvankar Madam, Anil Karvankar Sir, Dr. Sabkar and Principal PC Sir for giving me this opportunity to share my contents on video analytics. I would like to tell that I am not expert in video analytics, but I have studied few things, and with this basic background, I would like to open up few opportunities which are available in video analytics for application development or for research. Uh, Through this presentation, I shall walk you through the need of video analytics, the use cases which we might have for video analytics, then the methodologies that could be deployed or the technologies that could be deployed for attaining this analysis of video contents. I have some code and some demos that I'll be running, and I'll be showing you the implementation towards the end. To start with, the need of video analytics. We see that cameras are everywhere now. There is pervasive use of camera. Cameras are not now available on streets for traffic management. Say for example, on in residential areas, even in malls, and it is available for assisting the doctors or getting the maintenance done through video analytics. I am getting echo of my own voice and some background noise.
It's muted all.
Okay, I'll go
Your
ahead.
speaker is on.
So my voice is audible.
Yeah, your voice is audible.
Okay. So there are thermal cameras also, and which
Please mute volume of your speaker. Yeah, no. Again, echo is coming from your end only.
is it okay now?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm getting echo of my own voice.
Yeah. From your speaker only.
Is this okay?
Yeah. But echo is again coming.
Let's see if I set this way. There is echo. How to remove this? Okay, let me
Madam, you might have joined by two devices. If you are an attendee, close that session.
Is it okay now?
Madam, you have two devices
You have
working.
two devices working.
You are logging from two devices.
You are
That's why
logging
it
from
is
two
coming.
devices. That's why it is coming.
I'll re-log in. Okay,
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Login
Login
through the panelist
through
invitation
the
that you use.
panelist invitation that you use.
अन्नम एकदम साधा एकदम एकदम
Am I audible now?
Echo, a lot of echo.
A lot of echo.
You might have logged through the mobile as well as laptop.
As well as laptop.
So you have to log out from all the devices.
Log out from all the devices.
మంచిగా అనిపిస్తుంది బట్ మిక్సింగ్ ఎలక్ట్రాన్ ఇది అయిపోయినా ఇది ఎట్లా ఉంది ఇప్పుడు ఎప్పుడు శాంపుల్ తీసుకోవాలి
Now
Okay.
no. Still there.
Still there.
ఫ్లెక్సిబుల్ కూడా కావాలి
Harmankar sir,
Yes sir.
काय प्रॉब्लेम
Yes,
आहे
sir.
हो त्यांच्याकडे काय झालंय
त्यांच्याकडे काय झालंय 2-3 devices मला लॉगिन झालं.
ఈ తోడంలో
तर त्यांना
Hello? Hello?
Hello.
Yeah, ma'am.
आता,
Yes, ma'am.
am I audible now?
Yeah. You are audible.
Yes. Now is it okay? It is not without.
Yeah. It's no echo is coming now. No echo is coming. You are present and you start your sharing. Yeah. It's okay now.
You start your shit. Yeah. It's okay now.
Can start, ma'am.
Yes, start.
వైట్ అని బ్లాక్ ఉంది కదా
Hmm. Madam, you are not audible. You are not audible, ma'am. No. Audio is not there.
Okay, is it there now?
Yeah, it's there. It's there now.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I think the contents which I shared for this PPT is not was not audible to you. I'll start again. And then there is use of this camera, and this camera number of cameras which are installed across the cities has been increasing. If you take example of China, then the top most 10 cities wherein number of camera installed is highest. China has 8 such cities with more number of the highest number of cameras being installed. If you take example of Wuhan, the birthplace of coronavirus, it has 5 lakh cameras which have been installed, and with the help of this camera technology, I would say they have been able to contain this virus. Cameras are available. This is the reason. There's a reason because the camera technology is have advanced a lot, and the cameras are cheaper now. You can see that in India also, and if you move in public places, we see that there are cameras installed, and Big Brother, I would say Big Brother is watching. But the thing is that with this use of cameras, still there is human intervention. It means that huge data is being collected through camera, but the analysis is done on the video data. I would say that this analysis which is being done by human then create delays and hence leads to a inefficient system. Use of camera has to be there, but then it has to be effectively used in such a way that it will help us in our day-to-day life. There are with the cameras being installed now, there are issues. You can see that tragic events are still happening, and there are cameras in place, but how can we avoid them? Can we predict the scene or the mischief that might happen in our day-to-day life? This is, if we want such prediction levels, then we will need to move to some another technology. What is currently being happening is, then you have, say for example, you have your security guard in your society or in your residential area, and that person is taking or always viewing the contents coming from the camera. And these contents are huge. I mean, you can say that some million images are coming per day, and that poor person is expected to view those images continuously and then give his perception on the contents of video. His job is to provide security, but then there are human limitations. You have, if you want to know, so there are limitations, physical limitations, mental limitations. There is mental fatigue that happens because of continuous viewing of this camera. So attention span of human being is just 22 minutes, and then we expect the same person to view those contents continuously throughout day and night and come up with or generate an alert or try to find such suspicious activity. It is actually next to impossible if things are given in the hands of a security guard or a human being. It means that we need to move and we have to change ourselves from this manual operation to something else. And what we need now is a good system which can catch these suspicious activities. Again, when you come and when you say a suspicious activity, then it completely depends on a person. So a person, if viewing the contents of the camera, then that person dependent decision is there. It could be at times inefficient system. At times it would be not a correct system. So what we need is a automated system, a software, a system which will monitor my video day and night without fatigue and will generate alerts from it. The basic reason why we are installing cameras in our system is that we have to make sure that all is well, or we have to make sure that, okay, I can predict some things and I can have a possible solution to avoid such mishaps.
At times, I also have to save time and efforts to detect a particular thing happening or particular event happening in the huge video contents. This is my intention, and I need such system. I need such software. I need such smart system, and that system is to be developed. So what we need now currently is a fully automated system which can capture and watch events. This is very important for all of us to understand how to capture and watch the events. See, when I am gathering my contents through camera, camera data is being downloaded into a system. But then my system has to be smart enough to capture the event. Say for example, I have cameras being installed in say for example airport scenario, and then we want to find out that, say for example, a suspicious person wearing a red jacket and a particular bag dimensions. We want to see if this person is present in the whole data saving of say last 8 days. Who will do this job for me? This job would be taken care by video analytics, a system which is a smarter system, a system which can detect and predict the events and also search the events. Most important part is that I am collecting the data, and that data is being stored somewhere. So is it necessary that I store each and every frame which is coming to my end? It is not necessary. I might be required to convert my video contents into metadata so that I am able to store the data intelligently. To go ahead with this possible solution, that is video analytics, I will share you the market which is trying to boom now. In current scenario, when we have so use of IP cameras nowadays has actually boomed this video analytics technology. This is possible, again I am putting for that, because cameras are now cheaper. There is a huge advancements in the field of this technology, and there are huge applications which could be developed with the help of video analytics. I take this opportunity on this platform to give you an overview of what is video analytics, to give you an overview how applications or what kind of applications could be developed through video analytics, or what is the research opportunity which is available in video analytics. So to go ahead with this, we will go through use cases. With the help of use cases, believe me, I'll be able to open up various aspects of video analytics. Video analytics, when it comes to anybody's mind, what you think of it is that, okay, I have video with me. It means that that video would be specifically used for public safety. So a camera and safety goes hand in hand most of the times. But this is not only the job of camera. Actually, camera contents or video contents could be used very, very smartly. Not just for safety. Safety is one aspect of it, but you can go beyond safety and you can assist, or you can take help of video analytics as the assistance and create optimizations in your systems, or give you a better vision, or give you a better prediction. To go through these cases, say for example, I'll be going through public safety, then retail, manufacturing and industry, transportation, healthcare, autonomous vehicle, storage and image processing, intelligence and metadata. I have listed here few use cases, and these few use cases will also help us to understand what is the scope of video analytics. Video analytics beyond security. So first we will the basic use of video analytics, that is public safety. I will go for public safety. Now here a few slides are shown which try to tell you, okay, if these are the video contents, then my system has to perfectly come up with a conclusion saying that, okay, there is fire, okay, there is an intruder into my private property. So now when I am trying to do analysis of such images, at times this analysis is a simpler one. So detecting a fire would be a simpler one, getting a intruder, finding an intruder into my property through video contents, I would say a simpler version of my analysis. But then I need to go beyond this and I need to define criminal activity. Remember, I need to define criminal activity, suspicious activity, and I have to technically handle these decisions saying that, okay, it is different than a safe activity. When it comes to technical contents, then you have images coming one after another, and say, for example, there are people moving around. So you need smarter algorithms to understand and detect that, okay, this particular this particular action is a safe action, but no, this other action is a criminal action, because it's very difficult to identify between suspicious activity and safe activity. Say, for example, two friends are walking and they are under surveillance, say, for example, and then they are walking there, they are holding their hands or they are putting their hands on each other's shoulder. And there is another scenario where people are fighting. So now the technical contents between these two examples are more or less same. If you try to get a view of behind the scene and what kind of analysis you would do to make sure that this is a criminal activity or this is unsafe activity or this is completely safe activity. So there is a huge challenge, there is a huge opportunity to work and find out and to discriminate between a safe activity and a suspicious activity. Finding an intruder or getting hold of an intruder through video camera is a much simpler task, because when you try to do some analysis, then you will figure out that, okay, if I have a template and if I try to do template matching, then obviously a different video content coming into the same picture will allow me to come up with a threshold and say that, okay, there is something suspicious activity going on, let us declare it as an intruder. So it is at times it is much simpler, but when it comes to such time dependent activities and to predict this activity is a crucial task. Now, if you take example, cameras for safety purpose, I would say that in Pune itself, there are around 1300 cameras which are installed in around 400 traffic points, and more than 10,000 cameras have been installed in private places. So when now you have such cameras and then you are trying to have, say, for example, object detection or to find whether a particular car is in no parking or not. This task will again, while doing the analysis, this task will come under a simpler task analysis. But to have the crowd information, that would be a difficult task. Or writing vandalism on again on walls, that is again, or analysis wise, it is a simpler task. But to find a object or unattended object which is lying there is a difficult task, or a person collapsing is a difficult task. So when it comes to public safety, we have cameras in place, but then we need to develop a system which is a smarter system and will try to assist us in detecting so many things happening around. People are going, moving, and there is so much motion in the camera data or video data. Out of that, you have to pinpoint and detect and say that, okay, this is happening and this is the event which has occurred. So public safety wise also, if you try and analyze the video contents, it is a big challenge. Retail. I would say retail is a huge segment in itself. See, there are video cameras which are now available in malls, and then mostly we are looking at it again from a perspective that video camera would be used for safety purpose, or to make sure that, okay, nothing is going wrong or nobody is robbing anything or something. But apart from this, there is a huge world of video analytics that is waiting for you. That is, say, for example, you enter a shop and then face recognition is being done. Okay. Now with the help of face recognition, and the kind of product you're watching at. There would be a system, say for example, I'm just saying this, there would be a system, for example, which is sitting there, and the moment face is detected, it tries to link to your credit card, and then, or your details, I would say, and then will try to register this event that you have seen a particular product. And whenever there are offers related to those products or deals related to those products, you will be given a notification. Or beyond that, if you are trying to purchase something, say for example, you are going for branded shirts, say for example, Arrow shirts, then whenever there is some deal related to Arrow, or there is some new arrivals coming for your particular brand, that is your personalized contents, you will be given some alerts. So this is how the video analytics would be used to increase the business, and this business increase would be done with the help of understanding the behavioral pattern. To analyze the behavioral pattern, video analytics would be used. Say for example, again, say for example, you are in a mall, and then you are watching a particular advertisement. Your face and your emotions and how you are handling or how you are taking that particular advertisement would be tested, and depending on that, a particular metric would be developed and told that, okay, fine, this particular advertisement with this particular segment, if it is kept at this particular position, then the business of this particular store has been increased. So you can come up with such systems which will try to deal with this data. There are checkout free stores also. For example, you just enter into the store. You need not worry about it. There won't be any person to help you out. So you can just grab the components which you want to purchase, and then you'll keep it in your bag. And the moment you grab them and you move out of the store, then the billing would be done, and credit card statement will come to your mobile saying that, okay, this is what you have done the shopping, and this is what is your bill. This is available with the help of video analytics, because the person, whenever he enters, he is fully detected. So face recognition would play a major role. Again, in retail nowadays, when we have people and when we have crowd in a retail market, we want this in current scenario. This is not actually good. We want people with social distancing. We want people to be socially away from each other. Then that would be helpful with the help of video analytics. Even in queue management, and you must have experienced this, that when we are in, say for example, Big Bazaar, and this is Saturday, Sunday evening, and everybody is trying to buy things from Big Bazaar, then you can see that there are few queues in the beginning. But then as the mob increases, then somebody has to take care. A person who is administration officer of Big Bazaar has to take a decision and say that, okay, I need to start few more contents, a few more counters, and then the counters are started. Can this be done with a smarter system? Yes, it could be done with a smarter system, and this is video analytics. Then there are shelves. When you see racks and some elements or some components or instruments or things are kept on the shelves. The shelves could be self-replenished alerts. It means that if you move the contents, or if you purchase, or you take the contents and put it in your basket, at that time an alert would be generated, and it will give a ticket, or it will generate a alarm saying that, okay, these many elements from these particular racks are not there, or this rack is getting emptied, and things like that. This is an excellent example which happens during festival, because during festival what these people try to do is they try to attract us with showing so many nice boxes of dry fruits, especially dry fruits, and these dry fruits advertisement is in the front of the store saying that okay, you have this deal if you purchase this much kilos of this particular dry fruit. But then when the person or the customer reaches towards the particular shelf, the shelf is empty. Now this is not a good sign or of a administration for any particular mall or any particular shop. This could be done, this could be taken care by video analytics. And of course, controlling the fraud or warehousing and logistic management. Yes, this is again a very good opportunity for developing a video analytics application, which would be based on demand and supply. So with retail in market, I would say the way we have retailers, we have e-tailers also. Now you have seen that if you purchase anything on Amazon or Flipkart or such deals, you see that the moment you try to purchase a particular thing, then alerts are given to you and telling you that okay, there are deals on these things also. So such e-tailers are available now with Amazon, but we can go ahead with video analytics also. And there is a large scope of working in these applications also. Next comes manufacturing and industry. Now, this role played by video analytics in industries. We know that in industries there are huge structures. And there are processing stages of a particular, say for example, here is shown as car manufacturing unit. Then this car which is being manufactured goes through several stages. Now if I have a video analytics system, how this video analytics system will help me in this particular domain, that is in industry where you have a processing done or manufacturing industry. Then if you want to have maintenance which is to be done, then video analytics will play a very good role for giving you a perfect analysis of maintenance offhand, beforehand, so that when you're going or when an engineer tries to attend that particular problem, he is ready with all his instruments, he is ready with all his procedural things which he has to do in such a way that this maintenance becomes, or this maintenance flow becomes very much optimized. All of you will agree with me that when it comes to manufacturing, time is very crucial, and there are timelines which are to be achieved, and loss of time actually results into loss of crores of rupees. So maintenance and maintaining all the units of your processing unit, I think, is important, and that could be achieved with the help of video analytics. There could be predictive maintenance also, as in you have, say for example, there is a drone and with camera, and there is a huge infrastructures of industries. Okay, there is a huge plant where a human being cannot go reach there. So for example, easily, just to take a look that okay, a particular infrastructure is intact or not. In these cases, if you have a drone with camera and you move the drone through your plant and get hold of all the video contents, and then you have a system which recognizes if there is any fault or if there is a maintenance which is required or you might require a maintenance, that could be taken care by video analytics. And of course, personal safety, because we know that there are so many hazardous situations. Those are present in big industries where you have big infrastructures that can be taken care very well. And for heavy equipment operations also, so that you make sure that everything is optimized or as per your plan, and things are moving in a much smoother way without losing time. You can go through this. Even inventory management is also important aspect when it comes to manufacturing and industry. With this, I think I have covered manufacturing and industry. I'll go ahead with transportation. Yes, again, transportation is again a huge scope available for video analytics here. Now, we have cameras in place, and now you must have experienced on the toll, wherever toll collection is being done, then this toll thing is done automatically. That is, a toll is detected the moment your car reaches or enters the toll segment, and then you are allowed to go or pass the toll. Your number plate of your vehicle is detected and it is recognized, and it is completely aligned with your credit card, and your toll is paid automatically. This is happening with the help of video analytics. Even for traffic management, when you have huge cars running on the road, and then you want to, say for example, pinpoint a particular car which is moving and which is there with you, there on the road. Can I trace it? Can I locate it? And can I see if that particular car is present or not? Again, traffic violations could be detected with the help of video analytics. We know that there are so many, when we are traveling on the road, when we are moving towards our office, most of the time we are yelling or shouting since people are not following this traffic rule. So if we have a video analytics system, then a lane would be maintained correctly and lane cutting would be avoided, and it could be actually controlled. When it comes to railway, video analytics will play a major role. The reason being that there is a huge, I would say, budget which is being allocated to railways for maintenance. And to efficiently use those budgets, we can have a video analytics system which will see or which will observe or which will analyze the rails. And in such cases, if there is any maintenance to be done, that would be detected in hand or in the beginning itself, and then so that allocation of budgets could be done properly, or it would be utilized in a more wiser way, rather than just predicting and just allocating a budget to any particular. So whichever rail is heavily used, then statistical analysis of the rail which is being deformed could be done when you have a camera sitting on the trolleys and the trolley is moving on the tracks, and then you can get hold of the video data, and then a video analytics system will analyze those video tracks of those many kilometers and try to give you a decision that, okay, you need a maintenance to be done within these many days, or this many times you have to do the maintenance and things like that. Again, video analytics can be, there's a very easy application to find out if parking place is available or not, but this is very important. And if on Pune road, if we have been, if I am moving on Jagli Maharaj Road, and the moment I enter Balgandharva Chowk, and I have been, say for there is a system sitting and it tells me that, okay, in front of McDonald's or in front of this particular store, you have this parking place available, I would be most happy person and will enjoy the parking. So can I have this video analytics being provided to me so that my life becomes easier or it becomes much smoother. So apart from just providing security or apart from doing such things, can video analytics be done for giving comfort to human beings, to bring comfort in my day-to-day life? That is also important. Moving ahead, yes, so video analytics for cars or drivers, yes, this is very important, I would say. So when, if you take a look at, or if you just try to understand the highway conditions or cars moving there, then most of the accidents, those occur after 1:30 or between, I would say, 2 to 5 in the morning. It means that when the driver is very much tired and he's very much sleepy, then accidents happen. There are smarter drivers also. they understand that okay, they are feeling sleepy, so they just pull over their car on the side of highway and then they take a rest. But this is not happening all the time. The drivers are also given timelines, and they have to follow those timelines, and they try and push themselves beyond their physical limit, and they try to achieve or they try to reach the destination. To avoid such pushing mentality of drivers, can I have a video analytics system which will try to detect whether a person is feeling sleepy or not. The reason is, when you're sleeping or when you're feeling sleepy, there is a particular movement that is happening with your eyes and with your eyelids. Or when you're feeling drowsy, then your facial expression changes. So can I have a video analytics system which will find out these conditions if they are present in the driver and then give the alarm? This is one aspect of it. But then there would be an analytics system sitting there which tries to check that whether how far or how many times a driver has been yawning in the car, and how many times he was feeling sleepy, and how many times he was moving back or he was uncomfortable or things like that. So there would be I would say, a scorecard generated for every driver, and depending on his scorecard, he would be given a score, and then that score would be made available to the fleet management or the car rental provider or the owners, so that while deciding whether or while renting a car, they have now an opportunity to make sure that whichever car they are using and whichever driver is there with that car, that driver is a driver who drives very safely, or a person on whom I can believe and I can travel for next 4 or 5 hours. So such statistical analysis could be provided by video analytics. So there are techniques, there would be techniques, and which will help me or help the video analytics system to track the eye, to understand the facial analysis. Now in COVID-19 scenario, this is video analytics again will play a major role when you want to see that how much is the occupancy of the car, as in how many people are sitting in the car, as it is decided, it is declared now that there is a rule that when you have a 5-seater car, only 3 people would be sitting inside the car. Then who is going to monitor that? Of course, police are there, but then can I have a system which will help me in getting this assistance done by a smarter way? Okay, so that is then again would be helping the government or the system which is who is behind controlling the spread of COVID-19. So while in driver monitoring system also, video analytics plays a important role. And there, as you can see, that camera would be just in front of the driver. Then analysis of eyes, analysis of face, analysis of how many times he's closing or blinking his eyes. And this statistical analysis would help in giving a scorecard for a driver, and also making sure that he is driving safely or he is in a perfect condition to drive, even though it is a night time. And we would feel much safer when we are driving with such car and such system inbuilt in the within our mobile or in the car itself. Now, I have been talking so many things regarding the data which is coming from camera, and we can do so many analysis, we can predict so many things and things like that. Now, this is a time to understand how exactly we will be doing. Okay, so before going to that part, I will cover as autonomous vehicle and video analytics will come in hand in hand. There is a huge scope of video analytics in autonomous vehicle also. But remember that autonomous vehicle would rely on camera data, also on the sensors which are present. So there would be fusion of data coming from sensors and also data coming from video, and there is a fusion thing happening, and then the autonomous car would be taking decision. But then while it is trying to gather this video data is huge. Now the problem is, or the challenge is, that how can I handle this huge data, do my processing and give the decision instantly. So I am required to handle this huge data wisely. The technique is that I have to go for edge computing. That is, I won't be dumping all my video data on the cloud and allow my cloud to do all my analysis and then get the result from the cloud and then give action saying that now I have to brake the car because there is something or obstacle in front of me. This is not going to work, because I have to, or the autonomous vehicle has to be working with minimum latency. The decision power which would be provided by autonomous vehicle are crucial, and for that reason we'll have to do computing at the edge itself, and this edge would allow me, this edge computing will allow me to do several things. There are advancements done in the field of, I would say, in the field of semiconductor technology. There are advancements done in the field of parallel processing, in video compression techniques, in communication technology. And now we are at a stage that we have been provided, or we have video data with us, and also a strong backbone of so advanced technology. Now it is the right time to deploy video analytics on the infrastructure. These technologies are evolving. Say, for example, communication technology. There is 5G coming, but then 5G is not being deployed everywhere, so that I can use my camera analysis at a faster rate. There is video compression technique which has evolved. Now you have H.265 coming, an excellent video compression encoder and decoder available with a very good signal to noise ratio, and its bit rate is also low. You have semiconductor technology in place now, which can have chips and which can allow me to do edge computing. I would give an example of, we have higher end graphical processing units now, and these graphical processing units now has the capacity to do extensive computational work. Earlier this was not the case. Earlier we were we were evolving, or all these technologies which are behind video analytics were evolving, and then they were in their progression stages, and we were not able to deploy video analytics so smartly. Video analytics won't be done just like doing image processing. I'll be doing something else beyond image processing, because you are trying to understand, or your system is trying to understand behavioral patterns, and understanding behavioral pattern is not possible just through image processing. I'll be needing something else. Backbone of these technologies and video analytics in place, I would say, has a huge future for development of applications and also for researchers. Again, this is important thing for healthcare, wherein doctors nowadays are using robots, but the robots with AI in them, artificial intelligence in them, will of course help in assisting the doctors, so that their instant decision which is being required on the operation table would be helpful for them, or will give extra confidence. That is the second opinion. Most of the time we say that second opinion is required. That could be taken care and would be done with the help of artificial intelligence. So I can also say that there are nowadays we have I would say nuclear families, and most of the couple, a senior citizen couple, is staying at one place, and their daughter or their children are staying far away from them, and this is actually nobody is at fault, but this is the need of today's era, that we have nuclear families, and then people the children should progress, and they are somewhere else. They cannot stay with their parents, or parents cannot stay with the children. Now, in such cases, how can I use video analytics? In such cases, video analytics would be very much helpful, because there are senior people, and if something happens to a single senior person who is staying at his home, then how alerts would be generated? This won't be generated by, say, another person coming there and then seeing that what the senior person is doing. This is not a proper way. But more proper way would be, say, if I have a video installed in the house, and which tries to see that, okay, my parents are doing well, they are sitting, and they are not having any problem. Because this most of the time it happens with senior people, that they are not able to control themselves. They just fall down, and then their alarm has to be generated if they fall down. Also, patients suffering from Alzheimer's, those patients are to be treated separately. They have to be handled carefully, and they have to be tracked. And we have to make sure that they are always at a safe place. That could be done with the help of, again, video analytics. Now, going through all these examples, or going through all these, I would say, use cases, I think now we have enough idea to understand what kind of analysis or what kind of future is there for video analytics. Video analytics is to be there. It's need of today's era. We need, I would say, smarter systems in place to make sure that all is well. When I'm saying this, and when I'm promoting the use of camera, I would also pinpoint a particular thing, which is privacy. I just told you that, okay, there are, say, 6.5 lakhs camera being installed in London, and they are trying to control the situations, or they are trying to analyze the data. It is necessary. It is today's demand that you have surveillance system, or you have so many cameras being installed. But then, at the cost of privacy also. We have to be careful that how far you are reaching towards people. You are reaching people, but then you are keeping a distance. And that balance is to be there, and that balance would be taken care by your system, by the video analytics system. Moving ahead, now I will go towards methodologies and the technologies. With this background, which has been created with the use studies, I think now you have enough idea or enough exposure of from my side, which is being shared, that what kind of analysis I'll have to do. So imagine that I have camera, I am getting video data, but then now it has to be analyzed. What all methodologies, what all technologies could be used in such a way that I am trying to generate an alert, or I am trying to create an event, or I am trying to predict a particular event that might happen. So the methodologies that could be used is, I would say that this has been done in image processing. So I'll have to, when it comes to video analytics, we'll have to work on images only, because my video is a sequence of image. So video data is coming, means sequentially image data is coming one after another. So what kind of image processing would be done initially on images? All of you know all these techniques which are there. As it was rightly pointed by Mani Roja madam, that there are so many doctorate people or so many senior faculties present here, and to present my contents in front of them itself is a huge burden on me. Now, with assuming that a particular background of all the participants is there, I would say that, okay, you can do, all of you know background modeling, foreground segmentation, morphological operations, and things like that. Or rather, these segments or these particular techniques have been also covered by Vibha Vyas madam and Rege madam in detail. So considering this, I would say that okay, for any video processing to be done, what you are doing is analysis of imaging one after another. What kind of analysis that we need to do in a broader sense? I would say that um, uh, the steps which we need to go through are, say, first of all, you have a video sequence, you curtail down into individual scenes. That individual scene, within that individual scene, detection of foreground objects, static background would be done. Okay, fine with this. Then you will be extracting the objects or extracting the segments or extracting the region of interest from it. Once this is done, then you have to, there are several tasks that could be done. One of the thing would be, at times you are required to do motion detection. Okay, you are required to find out how a particular object is moving or where it is moving. So this is one thing, or it is moving or not, or it is static. Second, next would be, you might be required to track a particular object. So detecting or tracking an object would define a task which says that you detect first the region of interest in one frame and then try to see if the same object is present in the second frame, and then try to have an optical float thing being implemented or Kalman filter being implemented, which will try to give you the prediction of, or which will try to help you the tracking of this object. Next thing would be, maybe you are required to do shape detection. Shape detection would be on a particular region of interest. That can happen also. Shape detection examples would be the way it was, one of the participant asked Mani Roja madam how to detect, say, if there was a spectacle being worn by a person or not. These all come under attribute detection. So you can have attribute detection being done or shape detections being done. Again, there would be dynamic masking of, or masking of a scene that you might have to do at times for privacy purpose. That you have to mask a particular scene or a particular region from your frame to make sure that this is not being broadcasted to the other party. There is ego motion detection, which is mostly used in autonomous vehicles, where you need to make sure that you are following a particular track or you are not moving away from the track, so that you are aligned properly in a particular track. Tamper detection is also one of the things, because there has to be a system which checks that, okay, your camera has been tampered, as in it has been destroyed. So that tampering detection is also done. And event generation, as I am saying, that video analytics has to generate an event, and that could be done with the help of the system or the software which has been developed. Remember that we have a big brother who is watching us, but we have to go beyond big brother. We need a system which is a video analytics system and which will do the job for us. Video content analysis, I would say, if I want to have a practical hand on it, I would segregate into two parts, as in analyzing the contents, that is analyzing model, and another part would be predictive model. So in both the cases, while analyzing model or predictive model, I might take a path, or in analyzing model rather, I will take a path of image processing. But if I want to go for predictive modeling also, then I'll have to take a path which is of artificial intelligence. From artificial intelligence, I would precise it, and I'll say that it is deep, or I would say neural network. From neural network, beyond that, I'll say that you have to go with deep neural network. From deep neural network, I will say that not just deep neural network, you'll have to go with convolutional neural network. And not with convolutional neural network, you'll have to go with recurrent convolutional neural network. And this is how your journey would be towards development of video analytics. This is the image processing analyzing path. This is the first path I am explaining here. This is a case study which I am putting here, which is for suspicious object detection. and this is implemented on TMS 326-6437, a DSP platform, which has a video engine in itself, and which is doing this on embedded. We implemented this algorithm on embedded platform. The job was to detect suspicious object if it is present or not. This thing, I got the trigger that incident happened in Pune in I think in 2010, where there was a tragic event that happened in German bakery, and there was an unattended bag which was kept in the bakery and which was lying there for 10 minutes. And there was a video system. I think there was a video system there, and but this bag which was unattended, or which was a suspicious bag, now we'll call it as a suspicious bag, was not pointed out by any person who was working there, and that created the tragic event. After that event, I thought that maybe we should move towards video analytics, and then I started getting hold of video data analysis. And this is the project which is the first project of my life, and so I would not forget to mention this first project, which was on DSP platform, and it tried to do the object analysis, abandoned object if it was lying. The crucial part which I would like to share here is that we need DSP platforms to take care of this, because data is coming, video data is coming at the rate of frames per second rate. So you might set your rate to 15 frames per second or 25 frames per second and so on. So these frames are to be analyzed without loss of any frame between the sequence. This is very important, because even if I lose say 5-10 frames in between my video sequence, then my object detection won't be correct. So latency is a major crucial thing which should be handled carefully while working with embedded platforms. So this case study, unfortunately, I have a video of this particular project, but it is in my office, in my desktop. Now it is not available, but I thought I should share this particular content. This being my first project, there are sentimental values attached to this project. That is the reason I am sharing it with you. So if you go through the steps, those are actually the basic, I would say, image processing steps. Only thing is that these steps are done on every frame or every alternate frame to make sure that you are able to detect a suspicious object which might be present in your frame. Moving towards, as I was telling you, that if I want to go for predictive modeling, that is, I might have to develop a classifier, or I might have to again go for a regression technique. Then I'll have to go with neural network or deep neural network. All of you know that deep learning or deep neural network is a part of machine learning, and machine learning is a part of artificial intelligence. Now, these techniques, AI techniques, are there everywhere, and AI techniques are actually helping us to develop our applications. These techniques are such a smarter techniques that they can handle huge data, they can handle huge computational extensive algorithms, and they can give you a solution. So at the user end, if you get hold of the input, you need not worry on the input. As in, I mean to say, pre-processing part of your input is not required when you go towards deep learning or through neural network. What is required is the computational part and how well you can handle it at a faster rate. So predictive learning would be done with the help of, I would say, under a broader umbrella of artificial intelligence. So we are able to go with AI or deep neural network. Reason is that these networks are able to extract the data and are able to classify it. There are techniques for extracting the data. There are techniques for classifying the data. and transforming the video data into a intelligent data. And most important part is prediction of future trends. Prediction in video analytics plays a major role. Prediction in video analytics has a huge scope of research. If I take example of face recognition, then face recognition done through image processing and face recognition done through AI, we can see that this technique, if in image processing, it would be with the help of first face detection, then face alignment, then face representation and face matching to the database. So when you start working in image processing domain, you will have to first gather or get hold of your data set. And then, so the faces data set or images of faces are collected somewhere, and then you try to have an algorithm which tries to check whether the current frame belongs to from the data set or not. So you have a lookup table present for your faces, and those lookup tables would be used to give you a decision. This would be the approach may be used by image processing. But if you take example of AI, then AI would be handled with the help of, say, these three steps. First would be data preparation. Then second would be designing your deep learning or CNN model. And third part would be training and optimization. I would say that it has become much simpler to handle video data with the help of AI technique. There are data sets, ready data sets available also. No issues in that. So if you want to develop an application on video analytics, data sets are there which will help you to train your network. And huge data set is there. Huge means it is covering almost all the behavioral patterns of human being. And these data sets in huge number also. So it would be easier to train your network with such huge data sets so that your accuracy count of your network would improve. Because in this neural network, the accuracy mostly depends on how much data set you have used for training your data. This is an important part. Again, the deep learning models, if you are going to use, those are of CNN, that would be helpful if you use the built-in, I would say, software tools which are available for us, and also these software tools or open library functions has made our life much simpler when it comes to implementation. Not that simpler, but at least better than to start from scratch. So you have readily available open source libraries which will help you to get hold of these techniques. Coming to deep neural network, I think I'll just introduce you what is deep neural network. So it starts with an input layer, then there are several hidden layers, and then you have an output layer. Since you have several hidden layers, it is called as deep. If it is a shallow network, then you will have lesser number of hidden layers, or at least just one hidden layer, and we'll call it as a shallow network. So input is your features which you are trying to provide, and output would be say for example a classification output, would be a regression output, or it could be a classifier sitting at the output also. So you might have classifiers here, so many outputs here, or a single output. So these input neurons are connected, or input vector is connected to the hidden layer. And these hidden layers has every hidden layer neuron has a pre-activation function and post-activation function. In pre-activation function, it tries to have weighted sum of all the inputs which is coming to it, and post-activation function would be, I would say, quantizing the input to a certain level. So you have most of you are, I think, are aware of these networks, and then you have so many soft activation functions or activation functions which are available. Could be softmax or ReLU or sigmoid function, binary sigmoid, bipolar sigmoids, and things like that, which will help you to develop the neural network. This is the actual CNN architecture. Now, when you have a deep neural network which is present here, this is architecture which you can use it for data analytics. But when it comes to image data, there is an architecture which is completely dedicated for handling images, is a convolutional neural network. So convolutional neural network input is your image and output would be the classification output. So it has input as image and output would be a series of or a classifier which tries to classify that okay, a particular input was a truck or a van or a car or bicycle. This is the convolutional neural network. Convolutional neural network will consist of few mathematical steps. The first step would be the convolution. It means the regular image processing convolution which we do, that would be the first step, and convolution followed by activation function would be there. Then you have pooling function, that is this is max pooling function. I name it as max pooling function or average pooling function. This max pooling function actually converts your input image, which is a convolved image with the help of filters, will convert it into a output which is an abstract version of your input image. With the help of max pooling, actually you are making your data as there are two benefits of using CNN, that is it is scale or rotation invariant and scale invariant. If I want to make my system scale invariant or rotation invariant, in that case I have to have a system, and this is system of pooling technique which makes my system scale invariant. So you might have several convolution and pooling steps repeated number of times, and this first step would be for feature extraction, and the next step, which is a fully connected network, the way we have shown in the earlier frame, this becomes for classification. When I'm using a convolutional layer and when I'm applying my filter on the input image, my network becomes sparse, because if you remember that the convolutional mask moves on the screen or moves on the image, and it is getting hold of few pixels at a time from the image. So this becomes a sparse network. What are the tools available? We'll go through the tools first for implementation. As you know that OpenCV, this is a library function which is dedicated for the use of real-time computer vision. So with the help of OpenCV functions, I am able to grab video data and then analyze it. Keras is an open source, again, library function, but it is now this is dedicated for neural network. So I have a library function OpenCV for computer vision. I have library available through Keras for neural network. I have a TensorFlow, which is again open source platform for machine learning, and it is based on Python and C++, and it provides those API. What is Python? Python is an interpreter. It is a language which helps me to write my code. And Anaconda, I would say, is a pre-packed distribution of Python, and Anaconda provides me with a Jupyter, which is an editor, which helps me to write my code and implement the code. So this actually there are many such tools available. I have listed few of them. Reason being, I have been using those, or I am familiar with those. If I could have explored the other ones, I would have been able to give you the meaningful understanding behind them. So coming to the CNN, so as I have told you that you have input image and convolution image, and these states are repeating. So convolution will give you a new image which is of a shorter version of this. This is very important for us to understand that when I'm trying to develop a video analytics system, I'll be needing or I'll have to handle the code on a computational extensive task on various input vectors, and if I try to reduce those input vectors, my computational complexity would reduce, and CNN is the network which tries to do that job for me. Okay, so the smaller than the original image and number of channels in the filters would keep on reducing in max pooling. Now if I take whole of it, the same thing now with the fully connected network which is available here, I can have a convolutional pooling network, these steps being repeated several number of times as per the requirement, and I can have the fully connected network at the end to make me to give me the classification done. So the input images were several images, and say for example, classification is done to identify whether a person is laughing, smiling, crying, or things like that. These are few the applicants who are interested in developing an application or going ahead with the practical approach of video analytics. For them, I'm trying to share a few, I would say, a few built-in library functions which tries to carry out convolution, and those would be with the help of convolution 2D. This 25 indicates that actually my input shape is of 28 by 28 frame, and I'm using only one channel out of it. And a convolutional 2D would be giving me output which is of dimension 25, and this would be done with the help of the mask which is of size 3 by 3, and such 25 filters are there in the first layer itself. So this is the charm of using convolutional neural network. Remember that convolutional neural network will do the job of classification on its own while you are training the network. You are not supposed to provide any, it is not your job to give the features or to give the filter coefficients to the convolution network. The convolution network will itself train and get hold of the features, and it will help you to classify your output. Similarly, if I go for max pooling layer, as I was telling, to implement max pooling layer, the function that could be used is model2.add max pooling 2D, and 2, means the max pooling size window which you are trying to see, and the next 2 means the stride you are trying to use for max pooling. Okay. So the flatten, once the network comes to this step, then it is fully connected network. And to implement fully connected network, you'll have to use these few functions I have written to just make you aware, or many of you must be aware of it. But I thought maybe I should share these functions to you to give you an idea that you are using, when you are dealing with fully connected network, then you have to tell the dimensions through dense function, activation function which you are trying to use, and how many times you are trying to do. Because if you have several hidden layers, for every hidden layer, you have to tell the dimensions, output dimensions. Okay, so this gives me an technique wise or function wise what all functions I'll be using, and giving you the insight of using convolutional neural network. With this, I'm trying to put forth AlexNet, which is a pre-trained network and which is used for object classification. These networks are readily available. You can just deploy it in your code, and it can help you to develop a particular classifier. The thing is that it is not always recommended that you can go with the pre-trained or readily available CNN networks. There are some applications wherein you can curtail down the complexities which are involved in CNN, and you can have your own convolutional neural network. You can define the number of convolution and max pool layers in your convolutional neural network, and within a convolutional layer you can also define how many filters you are going to use in a particular convolutional layer. You need not stick to the pre-trained convolutional layers, because these are of course these are giving us a very high accuracy, but then there are applications wherein I need to have a, I would say, a lower version of this highly computational extensive networks, and this will help me to reduce latency in my network for arriving at a particular decision. So when I go for this is for analyzing, but if I want to go for temporal analysis, then I may not be relying only on convolutional neural network. I should go for temporal analysis, and that would be done with the help of recurrent neural network. So before going to neural network, I'll just give you example of CNN. So CNN takes hold of a sequence of event that is happening, and you can have on the top of encoder of CNN, you can have a decoder which is sitting, and you can do captioning, because when you are doing video analytics, we have to, the analytical environment or the front end should provide captioning. That is, if it is a car, if it is a person running, or if it's a person walking, or things like that. This captioning would be done with the help of two stages. To make you aware of these two stages, I have introduced this diagram. Moving ahead with recurrent CNN, and this is the charm, I would say, the technology, or I would say the mathematical thing or boon provided to people like us who would like to work in video analytics. That is recurrent CNN. I would explain recurrent CNN with this example. As all of us know that, all of us know Surya Namaskar. So Surya Namaskar has been, or you try to do Surya Namaskar, not just with one step, but sequence of steps one after another. And when you land up at the last step, so your first step starts with folding of your hand, and your last step again ends with folding of your hand. So there are series of events or series of actions which are done. And these series of actions, I would say, are dependent. There is temporal relationship between these events. And this temporal relationship now would be exploited for predicting a sequence. So when I am trying to have or understand a behavioral pattern with the help of video analytics, then this could be achieved by just or by deploying recurrent CNN. Recurrent CNN is series of convolutional neural networks being implemented, and you can have such series of CNNs which are running and taking feedback from the previous steps and things like that, and then trying to come up with a decision that whether it is Surya Namaskar or something else. When I was trying to tell you from my first slide that when we are trying to say that a particular sequence is a crime sequence or a criminal scene, and a particular sequence is a suspicious scene or a safe scene. In such cases, recurrent network is the network which will help me in predicting these sequences. Because just by doing image processing, I won't be able to technically define that this is a suspicious activity or this is a safe activity. Unless it is recurrent neural network, I won't be able to predict, because recurrent neural network work on timeline basis. They work in time series. There is temporal relationship which is developed, and this temporal relationship can be deployed for understanding human behavior and then classifying it as a suspicious or criminal scene or not. The extension of this is long short time memory. I won't go into details of this because this is typically used to avoid the limitation of convolutional neural network, which is having a problem of vanishing gradient thing, and that could be removed with the help of long short term LSTM networks. That is, when you have sequences running after one another and your video analytics system is just reading all the videos and trying to keep track of all the events happening one after another, then while training it is quite possible that you might lose the rate of change of your gradient, and in that case your training network becomes stagnant. It is not able to train further, and such trained networks give poor accuracy. So to remove those things or to overcome those things, LSTM are the networks which are currently being deployed. I have been emphasizing that okay, video analytics would be done and should be done, but there are limitations and there are challenges while handling it. The first thing would be storage of data. Then there would be a need for efficient framework. Then a heavy computational performance is to be done. And then you have to do such things in a faster way. Fast feature detection, and of course to avoid false alarm. So these are the challenges in video analytics. These are the few video data sets which are available. UCSD dataset, VRAT dataset, Pfizer dataset, U2 and so many datasets are available. Those are freely downloadable. You can get hold of these datasets to train your network. I'll go to the demos now. So the first demo which I would like to share is of face detection. This face detection algorithm is based on Viola-Jones algorithm, and this actually tries to extract feature from the frame by using these 4 edge features. This white to black is a region. Say for example, you have some pixels in the white region and some pixels in the gray region. And can you have a relationship between white to gray thing? Because if you take a look at, if you observe our face carefully, then eyes are the prominent part, and eyes are more or less with the same change in intensity. That is from our pupil is of mostly for a particular color, and the cornea is of white color, and we can take help of these features to understand or to detect exact position of our eyes. And also between 2 eyes we have our nose. It means that I can get hold of this feature which is white, black and white. And these other rest of the features also are used to pinpoint the presence of or pinpoint the location of my eyes in my face. Once this is done, then the face other I would say points are calculated and face detection is done. This algorithm is put by Viola and Jones, and it works on HAR features. These are the HAR features. These are not just the HAR features I mentioned few here. There are so many HAR features, and these HAR features are then converted into integral image. How to convert an integral image is shared over. It is just addition of the previous images. The best part or why this algorithm work is because it uses weak classifier to get a strong classifier. This is the I would say basis of working of Viola-Jones, and it uses weak classifiers to get hold of or to make a strong classifier. So all the classifiers which are or all the features which are extracted from this frame, all these features would not be used directly as it is, but the features would be used as a combination of or as a weighted combination. And with this weighted combination operation which is being done, the cascade classifier is implemented, and then cascade classifier again there is a huge computation done in cascade classifier. Due to limitation of time, I won't be able to go into details of cascade classifier, but cascade classifiers actually help us to detect the face. So if I use OpenCV platform, then cascade classifier is a OpenCV library function which is available. Then HAR cascade frontal face default, this is also a built-in function available. Then cascade detect multi-shape function is also available, and this helps me in detecting my face. Even if my face scales down or increases in its scale, then also my face is detected. I'll give you one simple demo. I have recorded the code for this, recorded the output of my code, and so this video tells you that this video tells that my face is being captured, it is detected, and it is multi-scale versions of my scales are also detected, and so with the help of bounding box it shows that. Next I would like to show is the demo of object tracking. Object tracking is very important aspect of video analytics. So we need to get hold of get the video, then convert it into frames. Then once you have the frame with you, get hold of region of interest. Once you have the region of interest with you, then you can go for tracker and initialize the tracker. Tracker again is a built-in function. All the blue lines in my code are in my slide are the code statements, and this within this few lines I am able to track a particular object as per my requirement. So I'll select a region of interest and I'll try to see that the code, the tracker update tries to see that whatever the region of interest we pointed out as an input would be followed and would be given as an output. I'll run this code. I hope it is visible.
No, it's a blank screen.
Yes.
It is not visible.
No, it's
I'll have to share again.
yeah.
Is it visible now?
Yeah, Jupyter window is available.
Yes. Yes.
वो दिसत नाहीये व्हिडिओ सगळ्याचे येते नाही
I'll just come to it.
विजिबल आहे स्क्रीन
Just a minute. Please hold
Yeah.
on.
You can run all from edit.
Is the screen visible now?
Yeah.
So in this object tracking, I'll choose one person whom I want to track. So this is one person which is I have chosen, and this code will track that person. This could be extended for multiple objects also. I have just tried for one. I'll go for the second one. Is my screen visible?
Yes.
This code, is the screen visible now?
Yes.
So this is a different code which tries to give you the optical flow. This is very important aspect that could be used in video analytics, as in if I want to trace a particular person who is moving suspiciously in a mall, or I want to keep track of his how he has moved in history during 1 hour or so, I can have this implemented with the help of this tracker, because this gives me a visual effect of how that person has behaved, or how that person has moved in the whole sequence in say 1 hour recording. Okay. Is this screen visible of my presentation?
Yeah, object tracking. Yeah.
Yes. So this is the code which I just showed you, which tries to get hold of region of interest, and then the tracker which is initialized, and the tracker actually tracks and updates in every frame and tries to give you the visual effect of with the help of a bounding box which is moving through the screen. There is one more application which I would like to share here. This application is application based on remote pulse rate extraction. The algorithm is based on remote photophlethosmography. Actually, it detects or it monitors human cardiac activity. So what is done is that the camera is being used, and camera is just capturing the images of your cheek, and this video or this camera frame sequence is actually trying to give you the blood flow, and that blood flow is dependent on luminance intensity level. So this luminance intensity level, the spectral reflection, and unit color vector of light, these three parameters are used to detect heart rate of a particular person. The only requirement is that you have to get hold of the skin of your cheek, properly focus the skin of your cheek, and can give you the heart rate. This is the steps which are done in this particular technique. This is one of the paper being implemented, and it uses spatial averaging, it uses temporal normalization for projection tuning. I won't go into details. There's an excellent history, and this is a marvelous piece of signal processing which is available. This paper has actually given or has included, this is 2017 paper, and this has given actually different vision of video analytics in healthcare. So I will show you first the screen, the video of a screen which is grabbed, the screen which is captured on the mobile camera. Are you able to see this part here?
Yes,
Hello?
ma'am. Yes. Yes, ma'am.
So this is a video which is being captured, and it is trying to capture cheek region of your face. This is taken on a cell phone camera. It is a simple, and there is no higher end camera which is being used. I will show you the MATLAB code. Can you see this screen? MATLAB code?
Yes, yes, ma'am. MATLAB code, yes.
I'll run this code. It will take a while because it is trying to capture videos sequences of say 60 frames at a time, and it is using overlap and add method to give the output result as heart rate. I'll run this code. So what is done is that it is trying to apply first. It tries to take mean value of your chrominance level, that is a mean in time domain. Then it is trying to have a normalization in temporal domain, and then it gives you heart rate, which is calculated using the vector projectile method. This is the technique which is being developed by the author. This author I have cited at the end of my reference. So by mistake, I just removed the semicolon from this, so the all y components are here. We'll just wait for some time. I'll get the FFT done, and the FFT gives me directly the heart rate. This is a very good application that can be extended for in our COVID-19 scenario also. Or I can go to my presentation, and here also I have taken the same image. The FFT shows that this is the X point, which is 257 points, and now I have to apply the basics of my DSP to understand why X of 256 relate to which heart rate. So the FS sampling frequency was 30 Hz because the video which was captured was at the rate of 30 Hz, that is 30 frames per second. In the code, we have written N point FFT, and N was 4500, and the rate is calculated as is Fs by N into 257, because Fs by N is a resolution of my FFT's x-axis. It means every point would be Fs by N. The first point would be Fs by N. The second point would be twice Fs by N, thrice Fs by N. Similarly, 257 Fs by N. So I get this rate, and since heart rate is beats per minute, I'll have to multiply it with 60, and this gives me a heart rate of 102. Usually we know that our heart rate, if it is a normal person, then heart rate is between 80 to some 110 or 150. For athletes, of course, it is less, but this gives a correct heart rate. The next approach in this presentation would be to understand how video analytics could be applied in current scenario. Now, with looking, when I have discussed so many, this is the mathematical. Okay, I'll just minimize it. It is the same thing. So, video analytics could be used for tracking a particular person. So efficient contact tracing, enforce physical distancing, so that whether people are following a social distancing or not. This could be done with the help of video analytics. And the same techniques which I have discussed in my today's presentation, as in object detection, object tracking, motion detection, and all these basic things would be used. Then face mask detection is also one thing that can easily be taken care by video analytics. Managing occupancy is one thing. This is the thing I also discussed when I discussed the transportation or car thing, that how many people are occupying the car. Or even in malls also, if there is a crowd which is assembled in one particular region, analytics to understand that. Then crowd detection, thermal imaging, and isolation. One of the participants asked question to Urpika sir, saying that, asking that how his technique would be used for in COVID-19, and sir also told that thermal imaging could be used, but then he also shared that he was not aware of such cameras whose accuracy would be very much could be used with confidence. And so I also feel that thermal imaging cameras could be used for detecting the temperature of people entering into, say, for example, airports. Now, since international airports or domestic airports are are running. So we can have such systems in place wherein the moment you are doing along with security which is being done, your thermal temperature or your temperature body would be also be detected, and no need to hold the on your
Arun
forehead.
madam,
Yes, sir.
please see time to us.
Yes, sir. This is my last slide.
Okay.
So this is these are the references I would like to share, because these sites and these have helped me in getting hold of the overall umbrella of video analytics. I would like to share contents, thank Mitesh Kapra sir, whose deep learning sessions I had attended, and also this paper which was IEEE transaction paper on algorithm principles of remote PPG, and also a video or object tracking course by Coursera by Professor Elias Papachitros. With this, these are the references which I have followed. Students interested in video analytics can also follow this influence. Thank you so much. Firstly, I should say really sorry for the interrupted start. I had joined as a participant, and same window I think I shared with as a presenter. Really sorry for the interruption created from my side. If there are any questions, please.
Hello.
Thank you. Thank you, madam. Okay.
Yes.
Hello. Shall we take question, ma'am?
Yes, yes, of course.
First
Yeah,
question.
we'll take
is-
2 or 3 questions, and then we'll list all the questions and email to you and take the response from you.
Yes, sir.
We are supposed to start the next session at 2 o'clock. So
Yes.
1 or 2 questions we'll take, and then. Okay. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, sir. Ma'am, first question from Saili Sapkar. Can you elaborate on some methodology or algorithm that can be used specifically for HEVC video encoder for improving its quality attributes?
See, there are 2-3 aspects on which you can work. First would be, if you want to improve the quality, then you should go for the quality would be improved if you are able to find best match in the image. And best match is possible if you are able to play with the microblock size and the motion vectors. So if you could get hold of the size variation of microblocks which are used for motion estimation, so that you get a best match, in that case the signal to noise ratio would be improved. See, in HEVC the microblock size has no limit. So it can go from a higher end size, I don't know exactly, but maybe from 128 by 128 to 1 by 4 to 1 by 4. So within these microblocks variations, if you could choose a perfect microblock which gives or which best matches your motion, that will help to improve the signal to noise ratio.
Hello. Okay.
Yes.
Second question is Dr. Sudeep. How to gauge the depth or focal length for the objects present in video data?
कुलूप वगैरे तुझं तो मेंटेन कर. समोर गेलीस तर मेंटेन बाहेरनं कुलूप वगैरे घाल. कुलूप वगैरे घाल.
Hello. Continue, ma'am, please.
Please repeat the question.
How to gauge the depth or focal length for the objects present in video data?
Yes, so this is actually a very good question. We have tried doing this. So when you have 3D cameras, so 3D cameras try to give you X, Y the data, and also in the Z data. So in the Z plane, you get the depth also. So there are cameras which try to do this job for you, but the 3D camera and the fusion of various sensors also this is actually being used in autonomous vehicle to get hold of object if present, and if it is present, then at what angle and at what position. So you can go for 3D cameras to get the focal length. And the calibration could be done by taking 2D camera images and then calibrating.
Okay. Last question from Maheshwari. How to calculate end-to-end delay in 5G video communication?
Okay, actually, this is a question coming from a communication point of view.
Yes.
Yes. So, but I would like to give the answer from video compression or video encoder point of view. So before a particular video data is being transmitted, it is being compressed. But then there are parallel processing computing platforms available. You can implement to find the motion vectors for various microblocks present in a frame. And with the help of parallel computing, you can reduce the compression time. And then communication side, I am not the right person to answer this question. Sorry, really sorry. Not a communication.
Okay, no problem. Okay. Thank you so much, ma'am. I will hand over to Amruta madam for vote of thanks. Ma'am, please.
Thank you, Parul madam. Thank you.
Pooja madam.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Pooja madam. Good afternoon, all. On behalf of the entire team of Signal Image and Video Processing, a Practical Approach 2020, I would like to thank you, Dr. Parul ma'am, for speaking in the second session of FDP. We are grateful for the time and efforts you took to share your knowledge about the video processing in transportation and healthcare, as well as the higher end graphical capacity equipments and many more equipments for the video analytics. You are also shared from the basics like background modeling and foreground segmentation in image processing, and the start of the deep neural networks. So thank you for your speech, ma'am. Your comments are especially helpful to those who are doing the research in this field. Thank you very much, ma'am.
Thank you so much. I thank you, the administrative team working behind the scene. It is well organized FDP. I would like to thank Sabka sir for giving me this opportunity to share my contents on video analytics. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much.
I'll stop sharing now.
Yeah, you can stop sharing. And
Hello,
requesting all the participants to bring their lunch plates near the laptop or desktop and
Sutavne
start
join
their
झालेले आहे.
lunch along with the session.
Hello, Sutavne sir join झाले.
Ho. Yeah.
Okay.
I welcome Dr. Sutavne sir for the last session. I am also requesting Sutavne sir to stay with us for the validatory function after the session. I am now changing the role of Sutavne sir to presenter so that he can share the presentations in the mind. Meanwhile, I will request Dr. Shinde